Meijer, the $15 billion corporation, is in the process of being canceled. And people are leaving one-star reviews. People are saying, shame on you. And this all comes from this young guy. We don't know the age. This is all allegedly. Got arrested for stealing $110 worth of food. And I like, yeah, he stole the food. He needs to get arrested. Well, they were going to discard the food, and he ate it out of out of the trash can. So it's not like he went out and ate stuff that they were going to sell. No, they took it off the shelf. They're either going to donate it or they already tossed it. And so he allegedly ate it out of the trash can. And they gathered information over 3 months. And then they went and had him arrested. And we're going to watch somebody explain it in more detail. And then I want to hear what you think about this. And we're going to...
Nobody's had a worse 48 hours in terms of PR than the supermarket chain Meijer. It's all has to do with an employee who they had arrested in 2024 for stealing $110 worth of food over a 3-month period. He is reportedly mentally challenged. And instead of reprimanding him and telling him, hey, you can't do that, they conducted a 3-month-long investigation so they could arrest him with the police. This is Jason. In 2024, he was walking to work every day. He worked behind the deli counter at Meijer. At some point, his manager started to realize that he was stealing some food. He was having chicken and fruit cups. They then conducted a quote-unquote months-long investigation, which they reportedly may have found that he was taking food out of the trash and eating it, or food that was going to be discarded. They found out it was $110 worth of food that he quote-unquote stole, and then they had him arrested. This all went down in March 2024. About a year later, April in 2025, the body cam footage was released. In it, you can see the manager of the store, and then a woman who also works at the store who almost like couldn't look at him getting arrested, even though they were the ones that called the police. I mean, what a fraud. Anyways, Jason ended up getting handcuffed, walked out of the store. The cop was pretty cool to him. He was like, hey, we're not going to make you post bond or anything. You're a first-time offender. Meijer is a huge supermarket chain, specifically in the Midwest, valued at $15 billion. They got some attention for this back in April when the body cam footage was released. But thanks to a TikTok from Neil, the CEO, it has returned back to the limelight. And people on Twitter were talking about it with millions upon millions of views. This one had 3 million views last night. Another one had 5.6 million. Another one had 7 million. And this one right here is up to 13 million. The internet has come together and raised over $36,000 for James. And Meijer continues to get destroyed on social media. They haven't posted on Twitter since March 2025. As you can see back in April when this original body cam footage went viral, this guy Aiden said, F your company. On IG, they're getting destroyed. All of their comments are about this. You guys are arresting people that work for you that are hungry. He's disabled, really, over some food. Who's your CEO, question mark. Close down for good. Man, I see you're having a bad day, sucks. And the throw up emoji. And again, this was all over $110 worth of food taken over a 3-month period. I get that you have to not allow your employees to take your food without consequences, but calling the police, really, and having them escorted out, you can just fire them. Or just say, hey, don't do this again. If you do it again, we're going to fire you. And now you have tens of millions of dollars worth of bad PR. Bad, Meijer. I will never shop there. Never. I mean, I never have, but I never will. If it's either.
If you haven't, please like and subscribe and make sure that bell notification is on. I'm going to go over the poll here that I've asked you guys. And if you want to participate in my videos and be referenced in them, make sure you answer these polls. And so let's look at how you guys voted. So I've asked, if a company tosses expiring food into a trash can and an employee eats it, is that stealing? Now, this has been 233 votes, and 15% said yes, and 85% said no. And this is a comment of one of my viewers that basically said, I used to work as a manager at Quick Trip, and every day the salads, subs, sandwiches, etc., the fresh items were pulled from the shelf. Technically, they were supposed to be donated and written off, considered their strict no-eat. But in reality, many of us would eat it in the beginning till they kind of got fed up on it. And this is what I think is happening with this young kid that was like, hey, I just want to eat it. I'm starving. I walk to work or whatever. And this is where bad policies, bad leadership comes into place, because now you gathered evidence over 3 months. You didn't say, hey, you can't do that from the get-go. No, what you've basically done is you waited 3 months till it reaches that threshold of $100+ where you can actually go out and call the police on them. And then you're like, okay, now we're going to do something. Now we're going to have you arrested. Now we're going to have you escorted out of the building. And you saw the manager and she was like, yeah, that's her. And she deleted all her socials and everything else. And this is the problem why people hate these corporations. This is why people hate corporate life, because of pettiness like this, where you're going to toss it out and you were hungry as a human being. And then they're like, we're going to get you arrested. So this is how the hate comes from. And executive leadership sometimes doesn't understand this, and can't grasp with it. Why are we hated so much? Because of policies like this. Because of situations like this, you are going to have $1 million crisis on your hand over a manager that probably should have never ever been a manager. And now you're having the now you're basically reaping what you sowed. And this is rightfully so. You did something that was really stupid, and now you infected basically the whole company over one person. And this is why hiring is so important. You got to make sure that when you hire people, they fit with your company culture. You can teach knowledge, you can teach stuff, but you got to make sure that they're a cultural fit. Because when you don't make sure that these people are cultural fit, one person can cause millions upon millions in damages, in bad press. And now you're like, well, they stole, they did all that. Well, there's some gray areas where you're like, you know what? Let's not make this a whole debacle. Let's not make this a whole situation where you just say, hey, we're going to call this done. You can't do this again, or we're going to have to let you go. And allegedly, he was going to pay for some of it or something else. And you could have just said, okay, I'll give you a discount. We'll give you some 20-30% off, and we'll call it a day. But no, you called the police, and now all of a sudden you've made it a whole debacle for your company, your organization, and the CEO, and people asking for it. Where's the CEO? He needs to get fired. And now there's enough public outcry, rightfully so again, that they want to cancel the company. They're stop shopping there, and now there's going to be even other people affected that are not even working there, or that are working there, have nothing to do with it, are going to get affected by this. And so, yeah, it is absolutely brutal for everybody else because of one person. And this is why when you have cancer in your organization, it will spread. And this is why you have to cut it out and let these managers go before it reaches this level of negativism, of letting people go, before the police gets involved over basically nothing. I would get it if he was trying to steal vacuums and then resell them over trash canned food. You guys let me know in the comments, because this is just why people hate corporations, and I get it. If that would happen to me, and I'd be like, what the hell, over nothing, and I had to walk to work because you didn't pay me enough, and I was going to eat something that you guys don't pay me enough in the first place, and now all of a sudden you gathered evidence over 3 months. No, rightfully so, you need to get the manager kicked out. You need to reevaluate your policies. And they came out and they said, we've made implementation changes. And implementation changes came a little bit too late. And this is what's happening with leadership organizations. You need to vet those policies before they end in disaster. And you need to put in insurance policies in place before it reaches this level of cancellation culture. Because nowadays, everybody got one of these. And it is so easy now, everybody can just click record, and when you're in public, they can film you. You wouldn't be the first person that gets canceled. I remember this one guy who said something really stupid about the Chick-fil-A worker or something else. And it went out and basically said, I don't know what he said, but I have an image up here, and he did something really stupid. And then he got fired from his $200,000+ job, and is now living off of food stamp because they can't rehire him. Because when you type in the name of him, that comes up, that video comes up, public outcry comes up, and so he'll never find another job again. And so this is my point to you. I literally urge you to think a little bit and make sure that, hey, if I do something like this and my name's gonna get leaked and I will never ever find another job again. I'm gonna be on food stamps. I'm gonna be on every assistance because nobody would ever want to hire me again. Even if I'm a really good manager, besides that, even if I do my job really well, the negativity is gonna be preceding me. You know, like when you say in the office, my reputation goes where I'm not even, and people talk about me when I'm not even in the room, that type of stuff. So make sure your reputation is polished, is clean, and do the right thing when nobody's looking. Because man, if you're gonna be that person, it's gonna come back and bite you And that's why I keep urging you guys to do the right thing, to become better every day, and to do better, a little bit better every single day, to listen to some audiobooks. Do not let the world poison your thoughts, poison your world's views and everything else, and just make sure that you do the right thing when nobody's looking, because nobody wants to get arrested over $110 of tossed away food, right? So make sure that you are doing the right thing, you're doing the correct, and you treat other people with respect and dignity. And yeah, when I look at all this kind of stuff that's going on right now, it is cancellation culture hitting where it hurts them, at the wallet. And these companies now need to hire PR crisis, and rightfully so. But that's why you need to vet your policies, vet your systems. And if you are in an industry like that where you have toxic bosses, you need to get into a career where you don't, and you need to start learning about how corporations are run, how you can work the system, how you can advocate for yourself, how to do better for yourself, and how can you actually do better now, so in 5 years your future you will thank you today and say, those decisions you've done have been good. And just like the Atomic Habit book always says, good deeds compound, so do negative. So if you watch negative stuff, you have negative people in your life, it will compound. And so when you have positive stuff, that will also compound. So make sure that when you're doing, you're reading at night, you watch something positive. And when you're looking at climbing the corporate ladder, because you can still do it, it just requires more effort. You got to be better than you were 4 years ago. You have to do more. You have to go to greater lengths. And now I think social media, have a positive personal brand is key, because that will carry into rooms that you're not even there. And so I always say, don't speak negatively about an employer. Don't speak negatively about coworkers. Don't gossip in the office. I know it's hard because gossip is a form of currency, but don't do it. Just don't. Just keep your mouth shut and just say, you know what? I'm lucky to have a job, and I'm lucky to be here getting my paycheck, because there's so many people right now that would literally kill and climb over bodies to get my job. And so make sure that you are appreciative, that you're not an asshole to work with, because man, I see it all the time. People that are so unpleasant to work with, that we're helping, get jobs. I was like, yeah, of course you're not going to land an interview. They can see that if you're having interviews every day, day in, day out, you can tell what kind of person they are. And you're like, oh, I'm hiding my emotions really well. No, you don't. Most likely these people that have a lot of interview experience, they can tell what kind of person you are from how you represent yourself. And now we're seeing that, hey, people cheat on interviews and they say all the key words. So what do? They ask you to come back into the office to have in-person interviews. Why? Because you can't take ChatGPT or any AI tool with you, and you can't phony your way into it with AI tools. Nope, they're gonna say, keep your phone outside, let's see how you solve some of these problems. And all of a sudden you're gonna sweat like a pig on a roast, because you were thinking that, I'm gonna just swindle myself into this interview with AI. And then they say, no, let's see how it truly goes. And this is 2025 for you, where corporations get canceled, people try to swindle themselves into a position that they have no actually knowledge about holding without AI. So yeah, we're seeing it, and this is why I've been telling you guys, start listening to some audiobooks, start doing better. And for those people that always say, oh, why don't you go back to Switzerland? Because this is where I live now. Why would I ever go back? Why would I ever go back and give up what I got here? And for these people that think it's hard inside the United States, think again. If you're gonna go to other places in the world, it is way harder. Just because people are pointing stuff out, you should probably look at it a little bit more closely and say, you know what, maybe they're right. And just because it's bad doesn't mean you want to leave it. Just because something's not 100% perfect doesn't mean it's bad. If a recipe doesn't come out and when you're cooking, it doesn't come out exactly how you want it, it's still good. Just because you point out the 10, 15%, like, it has a little bit too salt, it's still edible, it's still good. It's still way better than any other recipe you've ever cooked. But did it come out perfect? No. So no place in the world is perfect. But I'm telling you, if you want upwards mobility, you want to do your own thing, Las Vegas or the United States, still the place to be. There's no other place that is better, in my opinion, than here. Because me and Ali accumulated a certain amount of wealth where we could literally sell everything we have and move to another place, and I don't think we'd have to work again. But there's no other place as good as Las Vegas as of for right now. We've never had more opportunities. We've never had more money. We've never had better friends than we did here. So this is just reality. And I urge you to do that. But here's the big but. What you gotta do is you gotta plant the trees, plant the fruits first. So you're gonna have to put in the work of these relationships. And most of these things we gotten through relationships. Most of these opportunities and most of the stuff we gotten is through relationships. And it's almost like harvesting. You gotta put in the work first and then you can reap the benefits. So it is putting in work for a year or two without a lot of benefits, without a lot of fruits. But then once the trees are starting to grow, once the relationship's starting to mature, and once you're gonna get into these better circles, you're gonna see, wow, this is happening. But you gotta be willing to depart from your toxic friends, from your toxic family members, from your dysfunctional relationships and say, you know what, I'm striving to do something bigger. And people don't wanna do it. People are like, I'm okay with where I'm at, or I'm okay with this because the devil I know now is better than the devil I don't know. And to that I say, start thinking about it in a way more positive way and starting to look at it like, maybe I can do better. Maybe I need to take a step back from my relationships that don't do me any good. And maybe I need to heal a little bit and then get to the gym, work out, pick up a hobby you really like, pick up vlogging, picking up writing newsletters or something else. Or maybe you want to do that first post on LinkedIn that I've always wanted to do and just share my positive experience about something. And if you're like, I'm really scared about doing it, start leaving some Google reviews. Start doing some online research about what a positive impact social media presence can have. And once you're starting to get into it, then make it a habit. And once you made it a habit, you will see, once you put yourself out there, it's gonna be really, really nice. Because nothing bad has happened from people that put themselves out in a positive way. And I urge you to do that. And it doesn't matter where you're at in your career. If you're working at a grocery store, if you're a plumber, HVAC, manufacturing, or anything else, you can start contributing positively and doors will open up for you. And when I talk about getting into the trades, manufacturing, and everything else, people say, why aren't you an advocate for more manufacturing? Because manufacturing, to climb the ranks, to get into that $150,000 jobs, is going to be way, way harder than it is in the trades. So like, why is that? Because when you're in the trades, and I looked it up, if you go to a bigger area like LA and you're looking at it like, what does manufacturing pay? Start-off jobs, right? Where did that start off? And what are the responsibilities? And most of these places that have manufacturing, they're starting off at about $20. And when you're looking at the trades, it's $25 plus commissions. And so in US culture, when you're talking about meeting people and just commingling and just kind of hanging out, people always ask you, what do you do? And there's an opportunity for you to say, hey, I'm a plumber, I'm a welder, or I'm an electrician. And it's like, oh, great. Maybe I need some help as an electrician in the near future or something else. And then you exchange phone numbers, and then there might be like, hey, I want to put in a car charger. How much would you charge me? Oh, $500. Great, let me do it on a Saturday. And you go over there and you do it. So now you just made $600. And when you're in manufacturing, it's really hard to then go out and say, oh, on a Saturday afternoon, oh, let me open up a new manufacturing line and start manufacturing something, you just can't turn on that money on switch and do something. It just doesn't happen. And if it does, let me know in the comments below, because I'd be curiously interested in it. No, you just can't do that. But as an electrician, plumber, HVAC, you can go out and you can make a few $100s like that. You can put up a Yelp page, and if you got the right license, you can just turn it on and just say, hey, I only take clients on Saturdays or something else. And you can then just say, you know what, I'll come and give you a bid. I'll come and do that. And I feel like it's easier to do than it is to do manufacturing, because to get into manufacturing, you need assembly lines, you might need a whole bunch of other stuff. But doing the trades, every house around here probably needs something done. And so every customer or every person you meet might be a potential customer. In manufacturing, not so much. So this is my 2 cents for today. Let me know what you guys think. And thanks for walking with me. And I'll see you guys in the next one.